to South of King's Landing, the Explosion Rate's House of the Dragon after show, where we discuss and break down each and every episode of the first season of House of the Dragon. We're here to discuss the premiere of the brand new return of the Game of Thrones Song of Ice and Fire universe to our television screens this week with the premiere, The Heirs of the Dragon. It was written by Ryan J. Condal, directed by Miguel Sapochnik, who's been involved with the series, of course, before. And the synopsis was, Viserys hosts a tournament to celebrate the birth of his second child, Rhaenyra? I still don't know how to pronounce the name. I'll learn it. Welcome to Uncle Daemon back to the Red Keep. Joining me is the Hand of the King, Ashley Hobley.
Hey, Dylan, excited to be here. And to have gotten a promotion? I don't know.
I don't know. I had to come up with something, didn't I? So Game of Thrones, I know I shouldn't call it that, but forever I'm just going to be like, Game of Thrones is back on our screens. This world, Westeros, is back on our screens. I guess that's a better way of putting it.
I mean, it is technically a Game of Thrones still.
Spin-off, yeah. Exactly. It's very much Game of Thrones, exactly. How are you feeling after the first episode? What do you think?
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good, you know? It's not like the best episode of Game of Thrones, but it's like on par with like some of the stronger seasons. You know, set up a lot of the relationships and conflicts, very confronting moments. Yeah, it's interesting that obviously a lot of the footage that we've seen in trailers and stuff involved
that episode,
like Olivia Cook and something dark. I can't remember who's playing Rhaenyra.
Rhys Darby.
No. Emma Darcy as as Rhaenyra. But yeah, it looks like we're going to go through chronological order so far, like from when they're younger and she's first declared the heir through till whenever they're older.
She's an adult.
Or are we just going to be jumping around all season? I don't know. It's going to be, I guess we'll find out next week.
No, I think I didn't want to like look up full spoilers because obviously the show's about to start, but I did like after we recorded the preview episode, I did like quickly look up like the general structure of the book, and it apparently just like jumps between like major events, or like it's not like a fully so it very quickly,
well, the book can be different how they want to do the show, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean,
it would be surprising if they jump around, to be honest. So
I don't think they will. I think we're just gonna have
half a season with
young. I think we're just gonna have like half a season of her as young princess or whatever her name. How do you say it? Rhaenyra?
Rhaenyra, I think. Or Rhaenyra.
I think we're just gonna get half a season of her as young, and then we will get to her as a adult.
Yes.
It'll just like I feel like we'll just have a time skip, and then there's no reason to come back really. I don't feel like what's the point?
I know, fill in gaps, you know.
What gaps though? You know what I mean? Like what's the? I don't know what the gaps are. I mean, Matt Smith's just going to be.
He's going to be the same. Everybody else is the same. It's the two girls.
Yeah, it's just the two girls.
I guess the the other Targaryen's children with the other guy on the council.
I don't know. I can't see.
Corlys Valerian.
Right.
Yes. Oh man, this is going to be bad this first season.
Oh yeah, I don't know anyone's names, but not coming into this pretending that we've read the book or anything, so that's fine. If you want to listen to some people talk about it, the show who are major book fans, listen to another podcast. I'm sure there's many of them. So I really liked it. I thought it was a really good like premiere episode. Feels good to be back in this universe. Feels like Game of Thrones. Like it's everything that like. Here's the thing. Like I can already see the complaints about it being too violent and you know whatever else. But at that stage, it's like
what show did you think you were coming into?
Yeah. Like that is Game of Thrones to a degree. It was always violent. It was always hard to watch at times, of course, and whatever else. So I mean, that's this here. That's what we're watching. I really like the cast. I feel like after was it Kieran or someone? Was it you or Kieran complaining about Matt Smith? Based off the trailers?
Kieran.
Was that in our podcast or was that Kieran? Yeah, okay. Because I gotta say, he is like, I feel like after you watch this episode, if you had complaints going in, it's like, I feel like Matt Smith really cements himself as
this character.
This character, yeah. I think he was the standout. And then I would say Millie yes. Alcock as the young princess. She's like really good as well, obviously. But yeah, Matt Smith really, I feel straight away. I was like, you fit. You're.
He's a Game of Thrones character. You can tell straight away.
Very much. He's loud, violent, sadistic.
Visits brothels, you know.
Visit brothels, yeah. Good shit.
Yep.
Best Paddy Considine,
yep.
or whatever, the King Viserys. I also thought I really liked his performance as well. Like, I mean, the whole cast was good, but those two stood out.
It's a very different king to what we've seen before. So,
yeah, both in and even in flashbacks, and you know, any other Targaryen king we've seen, or king or queen we've seen, it goes crazy. So, so I thought the interesting thing about this series, even though we know things are going to pick up, right? We know it's a war. That's what we're building towards here. We're building towards a war amongst the
two heirs,
family, right? The two heirs, I guess. Yeah. The thing is, though, it's interesting to watch this come in where like they're coming from this peacetime, I guess. You know, like so. I thought it was interesting at the start to see that Paddy, Considine, but Viserys very much in that opening scene doesn't look like a king. I don't think he had any interest in being king, which I thought was interesting. Like,
yeah, I don't think he wanted to be king really. It's just, and he didn't think he was going to be king. And you can tell on, I think it's Eve Best's face, Rhaenyra, who's called the queen who never was. Like, she clearly was meant to be, and should have been. Interesting that we did get like that opening scene, like set 7 years before this. So I mean, I guess that kind of sets a precedent for, you know, them taking events as they need to. But yeah, he seems like he's not the king that we kind of, you know, expected.
Yeah. No,
This, I do have one question. Like, is he did they make him king after the previous king died? Right?
Yeah. So you name an heir before you die.
No, so he wasn't technically the heir before he died. They like the king died and then they made somebody. Is it?
Yeah. That's what I took it as. Yes.
Oh no. So the ailing king convenes a great council in the hopes of naming his successor. Because my question was, how would he have gotten the information he delivered to Rhaenyra at the end of the film?
Oh no,
episode.
You see the old king. He's sitting on the throne. He's old and decrepit.
So he just couldn't make a decision.
They don't explain. They don't explain why he doesn't have an heir. I mean, it could be a number of things. His wife never gave him one, much like Viserys. It could be that his heir died. You know,
as
for
they do.
Any number of conditions, as they do. So you don't really need to know. All you know is that he needs to name a new heir, and Viserys gets named as such, and that is life. But I thought it was a really good opening. I like the whole blah 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 200 years before this or whatever, and it like sort of does the whole text fade out. So it's like for the people who didn't understand what they read,
the people who did want to read,
we'll boil it down to the simplest. Yeah, we'll boil it down to the simplest terms, and it just leaves the words 200 years before today.
172.
It's like okay, yeah, 172, whatever it was. But yeah, I like how it's just like boils it down. It's like, for anyone going to the series, like, where's this set? It's like, it's 170 years before Daenerys.
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha. I can figure that out. That's ages before then. Skipping around a little bit. The thing at the end of the episode, what did you make of that? The whole, passing that, as you just mentioned a second ago, about the passing of this secret of the Song of Ice and Fire. And was that a bit like too on the nose?
I guess it wasn't really,
you know what I mean?
Didn't feel that important, I guess. Seeing as we've come from seeing that, it's like it could have just been something they told her at some point. But yeah, I guess the importance was more on, you know, him naming her his heir. You know, and that's kind of.
Here's my question.
Yeah,
if the Targaryens always know about this great big secret disaster that's going to come from down that way across the border of the wall or whatever, why the fuck hasn't anyone just considered marching an army down there and like taking over the area and making sure no one you know what I mean? Like, it's just like if you have a like you have all these hundreds of years to prepare.
Because Dylan, it's not their problem.
Because so far I'm one episode in and I'm like, you're telling me you could have just prevented many
No, because it wasn't going to come till winter came. You know? They didn't actually know what the thing was, so they just knew they had to unite all the peoples, free peoples, to fight against them. So,
interesting. Yes.
Also, they should have probably written that prophecy down more places or made it more widely known.
Yeah, was it a secret? Also, like it's a secret passed along everyone. I'm like,
hey, everybody. If they had have just told everybody that, then everybody would have been probably been united all the time. You know.
Yeah. Come on.
Like, we need to stick together because there's something that's going to happen for sure when winter comes.
Who's so based on the first episode, what are the characters you like? What are the characters you don't like? What do you like? How are you feeling out these new characters?
Yeah, I mean, I dislike Matt Smith, I guess. You know, clearly he's the antagonist.
Yep. Daemon Targaryen,
clearly the antagonist throughout the series. I think Otto Hightower, you know, he's really great. Reese Ifans, he's enjoyable to watch. I like Rhaenyra; she's solid. You know, she does feel a little bit like a younger Dany, I guess. You know, maybe not as.
I feel like that's done on purpose. Yeah. Which I got to be honest, I'm getting those feelings. Young Dany, don't see a good end for her.
Well, she's a woman in Westeros, so I really don't see a good end for her. You know.
I mean, I don't look. This is the thing. I don't know if it's a spoiler, but I know this shit doesn't end well, right?
Yeah.
This is a major event. This is coming into this. This is the event that they talk about within Game of Thrones lore, Westeros lore, as like the turning point of the Targaryens, like this major, the whole a dance of dragons is like the war or whatever, right? So I know shit isn't going to end well. So I'm just saying right now, the idea of having her play up a young Dany, okay. Doesn't bode well.
No.
She ain't power hungry now. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah, there wasn't too many other standout characters, I guess. Everybody else is kind of like in the background, I guess. There's the other members on the council. There's a bunch of knights that are introduced. On that tourney, like, how many people are pissed that, like, these are all like high like knights and like high nobles, right? Fighting in this tournament.
Yeah.
How many of these people are pissed that their sons get like getting access to their faces and shit that are completely unnecessary?
I don't think they're allowed to.
They're not allowed to be angry. It's just part of it. So. Oh well, my son died. You need to bury this resentment down.
Yep.
Seems necessary. Just have the joust, you know. Good jousting though.
That's how do you like I feel like the jousting thing was quite like a big segment of the episode, which I don't know, you could say like it was unnecessary, like, oh, they just put it in so there's a bit of action in the episode. But I feel like it's just supposed to show that in this time of peace that they are, and as they discuss, like that's why I think they have whatever the older lady, the queen that never was, they have that like the whole scene where she discusses and says these people have never gone to war. Yeah. They don't know. Like it's just like this built up sort of
tension,
rage and tension that's sort of bubbling on the surface with all these people getting to wave around their swords and have nothing to do with them. Like they're sort of wanting a war on to happen. You know, to give them something.
It's like firefighters who set fires to stuff. You know, so they could go fight fires. I think it's also. I think that scene is also there to like be a juxtaposition to, you know, the birth scene.
The birth. Yeah. So let's talk about
also the like It's like get you ready for it, I guess, a little bit with all the bloodshed. You know?
Yeah. There was a lot of violence.
Yeah. Unnecessary violence.
I don't know. I feel like it's just realistic violence for that sort of.
Yeah, but they didn't need to fight each
right?
other. They'd already lost. I don't know. Yeah.
So I tweeted out, premiere of House of Dragons was great, but a major trigger warning for the traumatic birth scene.
Yep.
Because I feel like that scene, if you, and obviously anyone listening to this, you'll watch the episode because that's sort of how it works. But yeah, I definitely feel like that scene, if you're, obviously if you're a woman or someone
gave birth,
or even a man or gave birth, whatever, if you've given birth, had a stillbirth, had a traumatic birth, had a C-section, or like even had a C-section and it's just traumatic, even though like let's say you had a C-section and your baby's okay and everything, but it's still like a traumatic event. There's no way that scene ain't gonna fuck you up.
Yeah.
Just
in general, it's pretty messed up. Yeah.
That was a tough scene to watch. So
just her getting held down and like her realizing what was actually happening. Yeah, and I'm not saying that, just to clarify, I'm not saying this as this is fucked up, this shouldn't have been so. No, that's fine. Like it's fucked up. It's meant to be fucked up. It's obviously meant to, like, I'm pretty sure stuff like this would have happened, not in game fucking Westeros because it's a fictional place, medieval
like
times.
the period medieval times. I would say stuff like this definitely would have happened. I could definitely see kings making these decisions to get, especially if it's the idea of a male heir. I could totally see this being a thing that happened back in the day.
Even if it's the risk of both of them dying, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like I reckon if he didn't think it was such a high chance of it being a male heir, I reckon he would have just, let's leave it up to the gods. But because he was so
then they both die.
That he reckoned this was... Well, no, it was let's say it's 50-50. But again, he's like, at least, like, the old mate never said 100% chance the baby will definitely survive it if we operate, quote unquote.
I think he led the question because he thought it was a boy, is the Maester. Because of the king's belief that, so it all bleeds into each other, I guess.
Yeah, but that's that. And look, this is the thing. Sometimes in this show, because of the time period it tries to set itself in, and quite often plays off these rules for characters within like a realistic medieval time while melding it with a fantasy setting. You see someone like Viserys do a decision like this, and it's fucked up that he made this decision. Like, if someone did something like this today, I'd be like, that's horrible. You should not be making decisions for the...
You should just go with your wife.
You should fucking let her make the decision. Like, it's fucking...
It's her voting,
That's... Yeah, like, don't...
It's like the government forcing them to give birth. Completely disregard for the mother.
It's meta commentary. But in a show like this, because of the setting and stuff, I try not to, sort of hold that to sort of decision making against characters too much. Because I actually feel like Viserys is a like good dude so far. Do you feel that, or?
Yeah, I think so. Other than neglecting his firstborn daughter because she's a girl.
Other than that, and the murder of his wife potential, but like in the scheme of Game of Thrones, Westeros world where a lot of characters do questionable shit, and you sort of got to pick amongst the pick the best out of the bunch sort of thing. I'm so far saying that he's a good character. Sure.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, there is one scene that it'll be interesting to see if it plays in further down the line, in my opinion.
Which one's that?
So, Otto Hightower gets his daughter to go visit the king in his chambers. And is specific, hey, put on one of your mother's dresses.
Yes.
And it cuts away from them after they're like kind of sitting away from each other awkwardly.
Oh, I see what you're implying, yep.
And then when you see her next, she's like kind of awkwardly doing up Rhaenyra's dress or whatever. Not talking to her or whatever.
No, I get what you're saying. I forgot about that.
So that might be something. It might be nothing.
But again,
also he is a man painting miniatures in his room.
I was gonna say again though, like it's really weird. This is the thing. So it's very weird for the Hand of the King to send his own daughter to please the king. But I'm like, is this just normal? Like, is this a normal? Because her reaction is like, but also understands that's a normal request. Is how it feels to me. You know what I mean? Like, she's not like, that's crazy. It was more like, I don't really want to do that, but that is a request that in this world is not
uncommon.
Considered.
We could be reading way too much into this, but I don't think we are.
We could be. No, I don't think we are either. I feel like we're definitely.
And that would explain, like in the trailers, why there's some tension between Rhaenyra and her in the future.
Her and Rhaenyra. Because that's Olivia Cook, right? Okay. Yeah. What else do I have here? Is there anything else here? So yeah, where do you think we're going in these eight episodes? Like, what do you see?
Do you know clearly?
When do you think we're going to the older characters? When do you like? What the fuck is Daemon gonna do? Where's he flying?
Daemon's going back to whoever he's forced to go to. Yeah, it's going to be interesting because obviously there's going to be some sort of conflict, whether it's while the king is still alive or not. That's my question. Because obviously they also set up like a ticking time thing with his.
Yeah, old mate's going to die this season. I don't feel like that. So.
He's got an infection on his back.
He has 100% an infection.
And then he cut himself on the throne, which I suspect is why there's not as many swords when we come to Westeros. Like we need to cut down on these swords.
We need to take it back.
Too many injuries. Let's just make it less sharp around here. But yeah, that'll be interesting to see play out. I think it is also interesting setup because it's the relationship between Rhaenyra and Daemon is set up where they're close, I guess. He's bringing her gifts. She's the first one to see him. She's excited when he's fighting in the tournament. So then for them to have to kind of turn into adversaries will be an interesting thing to watch over the season.
Yeah, I would say. Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say.
Also, I think his control over the what are they called? The City Watch. Will be interesting because it seems like he's been kicked out of the city. But they're all loyal to him.
I was like, did he get? Yeah, they're like his little mini army, and
wow,
I know
what a scene that was!
Like, you're a rapist, cut your dick off. You're a murderer, fucking dead. You're a thief, cut your hand off. I mean, at least the punishment fit the crime.
At least it was thematic,
They weren't going over the top. They did have a system, I mean, there wasn't no court in place.
There was, there was no trial.
He was judge, jury, and executioner, and at least he had some.
There was no evidence. It was just one guy going, "Hey, that guy's a rapper.
He's a fucking thief." What? No, I'm not. Oh, he's a thief. Right. So my only question is, so I was trying to work out that, so this show's called South of King's Landing.
It is.
Does King's Landing exist yet?
I think it is King's Landing. That's where they are.
I mean, they're at the Red Keep, right? Which is Red Keep is a place that is in Game of Thrones. That is where the throne is. But I know they never say King's Landing in this whole episode. They say Red Keep and they say something else. But
at the end of this Wikipedia article, it says, as the great lords of Westeros swear fealty to Rhaenyra, whatever, Daemon and his lover, Viserys, leave King's Landing atop his dragon, Caraxes.
Right, okay,
yes.
Cool.
So our title is accurate.
Okay. I just want to check. That was one thing I was worried. I'm like, is the title fucked? Like, it's really disappointing if that's how it goes, but too bad. Sort of too bad, so sad sort of thing, but no, that's all right. Anything else we've missed from this premiere episode?
I think the scene between Viserys and Daemon, where, he tells her, strips him of his title because he called his son heir for a day, was one of the highlights of the episode.
Yeah, no. There was I was like, yeah, you fucking tell him. Don't let him batshit talk. Old mate's, he's doing the right thing. Like, he is right. He's like, you called me in here. My family just died. And you're talking about the heir. Go fuck yourselves. And then he's got his own brother, like, having a party and big old orgy and talking shit about his dead son.
Also, why is there definitely a room, like, right next to the city council where...
Yeah, I don't know. It's
Come
weird.
on. What? Put some more walls around that,
It's quite weird. You know what I did like, though? One of a quick two things I just remembered, shout outs, is I appreciated that at the funeral scene, that Daemon's actually sort of the consoling one during that moment. He's the one being strong and pushing Rhaenyra forward. It's not like he's the one saying they're waiting for you and all this sort of stuff. So it's a little bit of an interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting because when you think back on it, when he was in the brothel afterwards, he wasn't like going around claiming it. It's like he kind of got,
He looks sad, but then after everyone called upon him,
then
he suddenly, like, with all eyes on the room, he said, like, he started talking shit.
Yeah, because he needed to keep his reputation amongst his followers,
Yeah. So, but up until that moment, he was just sitting there with his head between his arms, sort of thing. So it is interesting. And I really I like the whole Viking-esque funeral they do.
With the dragons.
Dracarys. I was like, I knew before she said it, I was like, you're going to say the one word that we all know because it's all we heard a million times over.
Yeah. Interesting, like the episode opening kind of with her riding in on her dragon.
It's such a great way to start the show, though, like coming off Game of Thrones and everything, like just sort of setting the tone.
Got,
like
saddles,
this is about Targaryens.
It's got proper
this is
keepers.
about a time where they, it's like this is a time when they ride dragons and it's a common thing.
Yeah.
So, but then I appreciated at the end where she, she spits at, says about, without the dragons, we're just like anyone else. So
yeah,
at least she's not
hasn't gone to her head
up
yet.
herself. Hasn't gone to her head.
The other thing I noticed there is when she's walking through the keep for the first time, they go through that courtyard. It's the one that we've seen several times, I believe, but without the map, like painted on the floor.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Which,
Yeah. I was like at the start of the episode, when the dragon's flying over, I'm like, it does look like we know it, like a little bit different, but slightly not there. No opening.
I can't remember if there was an opening to the first episode of Game of Thrones.
In the first episode, okay. So we have to wait for episode 2. Right.
That's what I'm guessing.
They did play the theme song at the end.
Yeah.
It was a spin on the classic theme song.
Yes.
But it was the theme. And I mean, when the episode started and she's flying over with the dragon, you hear a little bit of the do, 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 do. So it's still there. Because we, of course, first episode of this, we were discussing what the theme song was going to be and what the go
Hopefully
was.
there is a opening sequence and it's not just...
I want an opening sequence. I loved how the opening
Targaryen
sequence and the map would update with where the show's taking place.
It's all taking place in King's Landing.
That are happening. That's true, yeah. They're just like, it's a fucking one place. Yep, how exciting. Yeah, that's something. I was trying to think back on the first episode of Game of Thrones, and I'm like, oh, the whole episode of House of Dragon took place in one location. But I'm like, no, wait, so did Game of Thrones.
It's all in Winterfell, yeah.
In fact, the first couple episodes were pretty much in 1 or 2 locations. Not to the point where we got in later seasons where it's like 4 or 5 different characters in multiple locations. It's like first season was 3 locations max, I think. You had
Winterfell, King's Landing, and
Winterfell, King's Landing, and the Wall. Yeah. And the first couple episodes, you just had the Wall at like episode 2 or 3, and then they're on the road until they get to King's Landing, and then you start getting the 3 locations. But yeah, it wasn't like the massive
not like towards the end,
locations thing that we had in the later seasons, of course. Yeah. Anyway, really excited to have Westeros back on our screens. I feel like this was a great place to kick things off with
excited to see all what people are going to meme from this. Mostly what I've seen online has been people talking about the birth scene and how trigger warning it is.
It's fucked up.
Is. Although my favorite video that I've seen is like somebody's filming outside a bunch of apartments, like in New York City, and like all the lighting in each of the different apartments goes exactly the same. So like they're all watching Game of Thrones at the same time.
At the same time? Isn't it crazy this is on HBO Max?
Is it? Or is it on HBO?
It's a Max show, I'm pretty sure. Let's just double check this. I'm pretty sure it's a HBO Max show. It's just House of the Dragon on Wikipedia.
Original network HBO.
I swear it was on HBO Max.
It probably airs on HBO Max at the same time, so I mean.
I type in airing and it just comes up with fucking where to watch it in Australia. Oh no, it is HBO. Okay, that's all right then. Because I was like, that is crazy for them just to stick this on a streaming service show, but no, that's all right. It does say House of Dragon airs on HBO at 9 p.m. Pacific Eastern Time, but it will hit HBO Max at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, meaning those in the West Coast can watch it 3 hours earlier. There you go. Those in the UK and Ireland will have to stay up later. So the show airs on Sky UK, blah, blah, blah. Australia hit Fox and Binge at 11 a.m. Cool. Yep. Great. I know. I'm at work. Shout outs. Okay. Portugal has HBO Max. Crazy.
That is crazy.
Italy has HBO Max. No, Sky Italy. What the fuck? Sky Germany? What the fuck? Switzerland watches it on a thing called RTS. There you go. Some just random facts here for you. Japan watches it on a thing called Unext. Singapore watches it on HBO Asia. Okay, there's some random facts. All right, that'll do it for this week's episode of South of King's Landing. Thank you for joining us for the premiere discussion. You can let us know all your thoughts, of course. Go on explosionnetwork.com/Twitter. Takes you to our Twitters, explosionnetwork.com/Discord. Come chat to us wherever you would like. Until next week, also make sure you check out explosionnetwork.com for all our other podcasts, including Lord of the Rings Extended, a Middle-earth podcast, which starts next Friday, and we will be talking
extra fantasy
about
fixes.
If you need extra fantasy, this is the other thing. Just quickly, watching this, I have no fear about watching Lord of the Rings because Lord of the Rings is so different to this.
Yeah,
you know, the Rings of Power, so different to this. This is like, as far as fantasy goes, the idea that people think that like. And I saw an article, an interview of someone, I think from the Lord of the Rings show the other day that was like not worried at all. And I'm like, I don't think they should be because the people who like Lord of the Rings, I can guarantee you a bunch don't like this because this is just more, this is like more realistic, quote unquote, even though it has dragons. Like it is definitely like more ingrained, like political, like violent sort of fantasy. Whereas Lord of the Rings is your typical high fantasy.
Yeah.
Like you can like both, which we're going to watch both and hopefully enjoy both. We haven't seen Rings of Power yet, but hopefully enjoy and watch both. But if you only like one, I could totally understand. They're very different sort of mix on genre. And then check out, of course, all new Marvelcast. We're talking about She-Hulk over there at the moment as that's airing. And then if you want all your movie, TV, and other things podcasts, what do you want to watch? Check out that. Great stuff. Thank you and goodbye.